going to continue a series here that has been aimed at identifying issues and helping, guide a handhold and a walk through the world in a difficult, sometimes very treacherous one of divorce. And all the people impacted by this, not just, clearly, not just the two who are calling it quits, but even the children of those who divorce. Our good friend Dr. John Braccio, drjohnb.com is the website. All the podcasts are there. Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing. He's on the other end of our line right now. Good morning and welcome back.
Well, good morning to you, Dave. And when we talk about marriage and we talk about divorce, particularly divorce as it relates to children,
right.
We last week talked about certainly the negativity that can occur. And without a doubt, there is definite negativity and negative things that can happen to children in divorce. But today we're talking about some of the positive outcomes, because even in the worst of situations, there can be positive things occurring, and that's what we're talking about. And let me go through a few of these here.
All right.
That parents are modeling good parenting behaviors, and they're trying to take into account the needs of the children, then this can be a positive. And children can understand marriage can fail. They can learn from it and try to learn from these experiences and try to have it not happen with them in the future. And they can develop closer relationships with siblings and other family members because of the breakup of their parents. They can have a greater appreciation of close friendships, because divorce can hurt relationships, certainly with parents and with other members of the family, so they can really appreciate other friends. There can now actually a possibility, and does occur, is more quality time with each parent in a positive atmosphere.
Okay.
Then greater empathy and understanding of problems of others that have divorce or other major problems occurring. They can learn greater self-sufficiency, as each parent may not be able or even desire to give separately as they could as a couple, and better communication with each parent as their needs and interests are expressed and understood, and then find and develop greater strength of purpose and character out of the emotionally difficult times of divorce, and then even have a greater sense of spirituality and or moral gravity when trying to find purpose in life. So these are the positive outcomes that can come from the difficulties of divorce. So they don't always occur, and only a few of them may occur, and hopefully in divorce, persons can get these factors occur, and I've certainly seen them with many children of divorce that I've worked with over the decades.
I was going to ask you how many, as you were checking them off, I'm like, that's good. That would be great. Wow, not bad. But as I'm thinking that in grouping them together, that even having a few of those turn out for a good many young people would probably be seen as a plus, and any more than that, these kids are pretty well grounded, and they're doing, despite the difficulties, they've done very well for themselves. It's hard to get that many, though, isn't it? You certainly haven't seen any, Doc, have you, where they check all those boxes. That would be pretty hard. Yeah.
No, I think the first one is the most important. If the parents can do parenting, forgetting the divorce in terms of the negativity for themselves, and try to take into account the needs of the children and do parenting together, that is the key factor, and often the most difficult, because divorce, when you put in the intimacy, you put in communication, you put in the whole idea of together, the financial differences, all the things that occur in a divorce, it's often very difficult for the parents to behave like the adults and do what needs to be done for the children. But if they can do that, that is the key one. And a lot of the other ones can come. But again, as we know, it's very difficult, but children can learn. I've worked with a number of divorced children who have had very good marriages because they weren't going to let that happen. They realized the havoc and the difficulties it caused for them. So they really were wise in terms of who they chose. They were wise in terms of how they dealt with problems in the marriage. They were wise the way that they could learn to keep a family together, because divorce can be, as we've talked before, it can be very necessary when there is any type of major abuse, or just call it major difficulties that can't be resolved. But letting that go and accepting that, it is important that when people divorce that they do really take into account the needs of children. And if they do that, there is a good probability that a lot of success can come, and some of these factors that I've discussed here can occur for the children. Yes, and that's a key thing.
That idea that parents, though, even if they're divorcing, and as just absolutely traumatic as that can be, a breakup, that to remember that they're modeling good parenting, and good parenting doesn't tie in directly to being a fantastic spouse to somebody else. You can still be a great parent. We've seen that. But it's hard. I think especially what if you never had anybody to model. My dad didn't. His father was gone in 1944. He never really truly knew him, but he was a terrific dad. You find other models, but realizing that even if you're splitting up, you've got to be that good model of a parent, because you're giving an example for somebody else to perhaps copy your children in another maybe 10 or 15 years, or maybe a little more, a little less. It can be lost on people, but it seems like that's pretty fundamental.
Well, it really is, Dave. And another thing, if you don't have a good model with one of the parents, I think the other parent really needs to try to, encourage the child, or allow the child, or make available to the child and children other relatives to take on the role of a parent who maybe is not effective or doesn't desire to be around. Or it can be through churches, it can be through community organizations, it can be through teachers. It can be a lot of different ways to do it. But good parenting definitely includes, whether you're married or whether you're divorced or whether you're a widow or widower, that you make every attempt to try to have the child be as normal as possible, as normal as can be in a situation, that they can develop their own self-esteem, they can develop their own ability to function in life, they can develop their own moral codes, that they can just move forward and be competent, capable, happy, friendly persons that have the ability to love and care for others. And you'll find that is not the case sometimes for children or persons in the best of homes. But if we, whether divorced, single, whatever it might be, if we try to make the best opportunities available to children, then the probabilities go up that they're going to be successful and happy persons. But again, divorce is difficult. So when people divorce, they often, I think, are thinking too often of themselves. And I realize that divorce is a road that many take and maybe half the people take, and it can be very necessary in definite cases of abuse. However, regardless of circumstances, children have to be given a major component of thinking. And if parents can do that, if one parent, they have to, if they can work at taking into account the needs of the children, studying them up to develop good self-esteem, give credence to their own feelings, develop a good sense of right and wrong, develop the ability to get along with others and work at being that they can be, then you, from a divorce, you can have successful children, because many successful children do come from divorces. We don't want to make it that all of them don't, but when those that do have some of these factors in place in their environment.
Do you think that parents who focus on the kids in the divorce process to make sure they're admitting to themselves, look, we made a mistake, I made a mistake, this isn't working, it's never going to work, but we did something great together, let's not screw that up too. When they focus on that, does it make for less acrimony overall? Have you found when you counsel that when they focus and channel their good thoughts, vibes, into making things as good as possible for the kids through the process, that it's a less bouncy process itself, or no?
Bingo. I mean, if parents are taking into account the needs of the children, once they accept that they're not going to live together for whatever the reason, okay?
Right.
Then when they can agree that they're going to co-parent and they're going to do everything they can to make the life of the children as natural as can be, taking into account there's a divorce, then the probability of the success of the children obviously goes up dramatically than if you have two warring partners, or one just leaves, or they're continuing the battle of the divorce. Many people never get over the divorce. So if the parents can be adults and can try to do the best for the children, then without a doubt, Dave, the probability of the children leading normal, happy lives can certainly occur. I mean, we can look at very successful people, whether it's the governor, whatever it might be, people that have come from divorce and are able to lead successful lives. So again, when you consider what a third to half of the children potentially could be coming from that type of an environment, a divorce, it does get down to how are the parents going to function? And if there's only one parent, how is the one parent going to function in terms of working this? But if the parents, if they can work together, boy, then
That's the first step through the door to tomorrow versus yesterday. Now you're thinking ahead, and you're thinking of the future, your kids, and you as part of the process. I mean, even the way we started today, the positive outcomes here. In a divorce, it seems like an oxymoron, but for children of divorce, where things can be very negative, as you say, done the right way and done carefully and with thought and obviously with love, that you can have positive outcomes come out for children of parents who decide it's no longer till death do us part. We're parting now, and this is it. We're done, but we're not done with you or you. We're going to be there for you. That's just a huge thing. Overall, for kids to know that their lives are upset enough as it is, and it's like a snow globe. But you've laid it out very, very well here today. Our good friend Dr. John Braccio. The podcasts are at drjohnb.com, and Regional Psychological Services is where to contact in East Lansing. It's always great to have you on, Doc. Very much enjoyed it today.
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Make one final comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also have to where when you do have parents that won't work together, then that single parent can have a tremendous impact also just by trying to set up the best circumstances for the child or children to succeed.
Our good friend, Dr. John Braccio. Till next time, we'll visit with you post-holiday. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Same to you, Dave. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll talk again very soon with him. We're back, 1320. Don't go away. WILS.